Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. This is the regular meeting for June 28th, 2022 of the Rockport City Council. We're in session. We're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance led by a group that Katie's going to introduce to you. They're going to come to the microphone and lead us in the pledge. If you'd stand with us, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You can have a seat. We've got a couple of proclamations to read for the first time on the agenda. The first off, trying to see which ones I've got in which order. For those of you that were here a 3 weeks ago and I couldn't read, I brought a pair of my old glasses. If that happens again, I'll be able to read. I'll put them on and get by just fine. Thank you. There we go. Where are my visitors? I need Shirley Hughes Blackman to come up here if you would. Shirley has been very active in our art community for a long time, and we appreciate her. I have talked with Luis about her, and he said she's a wonderful person, and we appreciate all the hard work and dedication you've had. This is a proclamation for you. It says, whereas Shirley Hughes Blackman has been an important member of Rockport art community as a painter of renown and a gallery owner for 2 decades, and whereas Shirley Hughes Blackman and her husband Clint have been instrumental in supporting abstract art as part of the Rockport mix, as well as showing and selling art of well-known artists from around the United States. And whereas Shirley Hughes Blackman was honored to be the 2010 poster artist for the Rockport Art Festival, an honor she richly deserved and deeply treasured. And as a past posture artist, she has donated an original painting each year since. And whereas Shirley Hughes Blackman served as a member of the Rockport Heritage District Board at the request of then Mayor Todd Pearson, and whereas Shirley Hughes Blackman continues to be deeply involved in the Rockport Center for the Arts as a voting member of the exhibition committee, and whereas Shirley Hughes Blackman supports the importance of philanthropy and as such is a member of the foundation circle called the 50 Rock Society, which was created to fund the capital campaign for Rockport Center for the Arts. And whereas Shirley Hughes Blackman is a positive influencer for the good of the arts and for the good of Rockport, Texas, now therefore be it proclaimed that the city of Rockport, the city council, does hereby declare Friday, July 1st, 2022 to be Shirley Hughes Blackman Day in the city of Rockport, and call upon the citizens of Rockport to recognize her positive influence of the arts in Rockport, Texas. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the great seal of the city of Rockport, Texas to be affixed this the 28th day of June 2021 in the city of Rockport. Congratulations. Turn around with these folks. Go over in front of the sign over there, and we're going to get a picture. So you'll take it in front of those. Thank you. Mayor Pearson, would you get me straight on all this stuff? I have to know when to get a microphone and a pen. Y'all help me out with it. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the city of Rockport, and whereas parks and recreation promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks, and whereas parks and recreation promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performances and well-being, and whereas parks and recreation encourages physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking, trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas Parks and Recreation is a leading provider of healthy meals, nutrition services, and education, whereas Parks and Recreation programs and education activities such as youth sports and environmental education are critical to childhood development. And whereas Parks and Recreation increases a community's economic prosperity through increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas the city of Rockport recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation sources, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council that June 2022 is recognized as Parks and Recreation Month at the City of Rockport. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Rockport to be affixed this 28th day of June 2022.
Hey, Rick, do you want Mr. Martinez? Rick, do you want George up there with you? You have another Parks employee?
My name is Colleen McTurnan. My address is 401 Broadway, Fulton, but I'm here as the president of the Women's Club of Aransas County. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Women's Club does, is a bunch of old ladies get together and we charge a nominal fee and we play games. And the money that we get for playing these games, we give as scholarships to the young ladies of Aransas County. Now, the reason that I'm here is we've been experiencing weekly disruptions in water. Now, when you get a bunch of old ladies in a building and you can't use a toilet, that is not a good thing. So I call the office every time we have no water, and I'm told that it'll be up for 3 hours, and we just heard about it. I don't know if that's true, but yesterday we had no water all day, and we bought gallons of water so we could try and flush toilets so these women could play cards to earn money to give scholarships. So I don't know who I have to go to find out what we can do about this terrible water situation. Oh,
I'm Richard Morton. I'm the interim city manager, and I'd be happy to sit down with you and give you my phone number, and you can call me anytime. If we know in advance that there's going to be an outage, I'll certainly share that with you.
oh, that would be wonderful. Thank you very, very much.
Well,
Okay. Thank you.
For y'all's information, we recently had a meeting where we learned some things about rules of order and so forth, and the city manager's grinning a little bit. I sat down and listened to this thing, and what I have not done is called the fact that we have a quorum here. So I will recognize the existence of a quorum. We have 5 members present, and we can conduct business. I had said a little while ago, we'll do that right before we do business, and I didn't. Okay. Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome.
Anyhow, the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything you would like to remove from the consent agenda? And if not, may I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
There being a second, the motion is to accept the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion or debate? If not, vote. Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Mayor, aye. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing between council and Rockport Planning and Zoning Commission. Thank you. Put this off until, it will be postponed until we can get a quorum handy. Fair enough?
It will have to be published in the newspaper again 15 days, so it may not be in the next meeting.
Okay. It will be reposted. Thank you. Back to the regular agenda. We're going to move one item from the agenda. Item 15 on the agenda is going to be handled first. We have a speaker that would like to talk to us about this item. Item 15 is deliberate and act on resolution approving continuation of the Aransas County Alliance Local Government Corporation. Mr. Meek.
Council, Michael Meek, I'm the interim president through this Thursday of your Economic Development Corporation. So I asked the city manager yesterday morning to postpone this item, item number 15. A little background, the Aransas County Local Government Corporation, known locally as the LGC, was formed following Hurricane Harvey 3 years ago as a nonprofit 501c3 to focus on economic development needs in the community. The original sponsoring governmental entities were the county, the city of Rockport, town of Fulton, and the Navigation District. Articles of incorporation were developed and filed with the state. Bylaws were adopted as well as an interlocal agreement between the parties. The LGC can contract out services and have done so with our EDC, which is a 501c3 formed in early 2020. The bylaws call for financial contributions by each entity that are in turn passed along to the EDC. However, this past February and March, some of you may recall that were on council then, the city in March and the county in February adopted economic development incentive policies. Those policies place the control of the process at each entity, not a separate governmental entity such as the LGC. In the 5 years since Harvey, much has been accomplished, and there is not a need for this extra layer of bureaucracy via the LGC in regards to regular economic development discussions. In addition, the interlocal agreement between the four entities is slated to expire December 9th of this year, if not renewed. On May 2nd, the LGC met and recommended keeping the 501c3 or LGC somewhat active, but to amend the bylaws to reflect new realities on the ground, such as the need to not meet as often, as well as no financial contributions required of the governmental entities. As the services provider to the LGC, I asked John Bell, an attorney with the law firm of Wood, Boykin, and Wolter in Corpus, to draft these amendments. Mr. Bell is an expert in such matters and well known in the industry. Mr. Bell drafted the suggested amendments, forwarded them to me. I forwarded them on to Richard, asking that they be placed on this agenda. However, in an error, my mistake, I skipped a step. Mr. Bell clearly recommended that we first take the suggested amendments back to the LGC board and then on to the four entities. So that's why we've asked for the postponement. There'll have to be an LGC meeting probably next month called by the county judge to consider these amendments. I want to thank you for your time and understanding and any confusion this has caused. It's been my pleasure to have worked back in my hometown since last August through December as a consultant for the EDC, and then since January as the interim president. Jeff Shostrom, which many of you have met back on June 13th, will be on board starting this Friday and is a very experienced professional that will do you a great service. I'll be down periodically to assist him and Barbara Gutner in July and August as Jeff gets oriented. I'll be happy to answer any questions, Mayor. Thank you.
Can review it and get back to us with what their wishes are. What is your pleasure, council?
Make a motion to postpone this agenda item until the LGC is able to reconvene and then bring it back to the entities.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second. The motion is that we postpone this item to the LGC can get back with us after they review the item. Is there any other discussion? Time for a vote. Ward 1?
Aye.
Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
And Mayor, aye. Now back to the regular items on the agenda in the order that they were put in. Deliberate and take and act on presentation and acceptance of comprehensive annual financial report from the City of Rockport for financial year 2021 and 2020.
Good evening, Mayor. Joining us tonight is Pat Hall. He's with Park Fowler. He has been a blessing for the finance team this last audit session, and he's going to present to you all and answer any questions that you have in relation to our fiscal year ending 2021. Well, now they've changed it to the annual comprehensive financial report.
Hello. As she said, my name's Pat Hall. I'm with the firm of Park Fowler and Company. This is the first year that we've done the audit for the City of Rockport, and I'm here to present the report and basically present the audit piece of it. This large financial document is essentially the city and it's the city's responsibility. There's pages in here that have our opinion on it, and that's what I'm going to talk about. And that's our part of the report. So the first page I'd like to go to is on the agenda packet, page number 84. If you got just the financial statement, that's page 11. Is everybody there? Okay, so this is the opinion page on the financial statements. And you may notice if you've looked at audit opinions or opinions reports, they've changed the format. And so now they've moved. The opinion is in the first section of the report. It used to be further down. So with that, the opinion that we've put on this report is an unmodified opinion. We're saying that we believe as presented, the financial statements are fairly presented. Then the rest of the report talks about what sections of the annual financial report are the city's and what our auditor responsibilities are. And it lists them out in detail. That's a new section too. I guess it was an implied, but now they're actually detailing what are the city's responsibilities in relation to financial statements and what are the auditors. And so if you read that report, it's pretty informative. And then if we go to page way in the back of the report, starting on page 112, so our 205 of the board packet and 207. And these are the audit opinions or reports in relation to what we call your schedule of expenditures of federal awards. So some of the money that the city receives comes from federal sources, and they track it on what we refer to as the CFA. And so then if you exceed the threshold of $750,000, it triggers what we refer to as a signal audit. In this case, you exceeded that amount. So we also performed an audit on some of the federal programs, and it's detailed in the report. And I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's primarily been driven by the FEMA money for the last few years. And so with that being said, on both of those opinions, we're issuing unmodified or clean opinions on those also. Now, we know that in the prior year, and you'll see on the report that there's a schedule of findings or follow-up to the prior year. And so they have to be reported, and then the resolution to them is listed there. So as the timing is, I mean, in other words, you got the audit report and the findings last year, but by the time you got it, you're already well into the fiscal year. So with that being said, the findings that were there have been corrected. And so we didn't write you up again for those because you took the corrective action. But they're going to appear on, they essentially takes 2 more years to get it off the report. It just, but those will go away. So that's the opinions on the financial statements. Now, the comprehensive report has a lot of information in it, starting with the MD&A section. I highly recommend, or if you read that, it gives you a kind of a summary or an analytical of the city's financial performance for the year. And then the other piece of the report has all of our, the fund statements and the notes to the financial statements. The notes are critical because if you have questions about what's being reported on the statements, 9 times out of 10, you'll find the answer in the notes to the financial statements. So as you're reading the report, I highly recommend that you read the notes too, or look through the notes for answers. So that's kind of the presentation on the audit aspect. So I don't typically go through all the numbers because we'd be here forever if we did. So in terms of the audit and the financial report, certainly answer any questions you may have. All good. Okay, and then I just one little last piece, and that's a letter, and I have a habit of always communicating it, but it's actually outlined in the opinions now. But just to let you know that We did not encounter any difficulties in performing the audit. Everybody is very responsive to our requests. Any adjustments, we worked together and discussed. So all of the adjustments that we found, or the majority of them, the finance staff recommended. We sat down and they all were entered and we agreed. So we believe all the journal entries and everything were entered properly. Then we get a letter from city management telling us that they provided everything for the audit, and they provided that letter. So as far as we know, everything we requested was provided timely and responsive. And then the other comment is that finance staff may talk with other accountants or CPA firms. I inquired if they did. Mainly what you're looking for is to see if there's, kind of out their opinion shopping, saying, oh, how do you would you record this transaction? And just to let you know that none of that took place either. So happy to report, get your financial statements with a clean opinion, and the issues that were in the previous years of being corrected. And I think your finance staff is, they're really turning it around and doing a good job. Great. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
We accept the report.
I make a motion, we accept the report as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that the report be accepted. Any further discussion? Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4. Mayor, aye. Next item 13 on the agenda, hear and deliberate presentation by the Workforce Development Center.
Council members and mayor, my name is John Jackson. I live at 312 Olympic Drive in Rockport. We're here to bring you and the public an update on the status of the Aransas County Workforce Development Center. But first, I thought it would help to share a brief recap from the beginning of this initiative for area citizens in and around Aransas County. The Aransas County Partnership EDC was formed in January of 2020, and the idea for the Workforce Development Center was formed in early spring 2020, right before COVID. Then COVID came and opened up numerous government assistance programs. One of many was the EDA grant to help stimulate the economy. We were encouraged to apply because we were also still recovering from Hurricane Harvey at that time. And the EDC formed a 12-member committee, which I chaired, to study and recommend a plan of action. And during this due diligence, a visit was made to the Del Mar College West Campus, where a partnership relationship was formed. And out of that relationship, and in concert with Aransas County as the EDA grant applicant, Del Mar College executed an MOU to operate the facility if the grant had been awarded to the county. The county filed an application with EDA in August of 2020, and in the meantime, we found a very suitable site which is available for sale. And that was Little Bay Primary at 2000 Highway 35, formerly owned by ACISD, who had sold it to a private entity. And many of you may recall our original hope was to be able to receive a large enough grant to purchase both the north and the south buildings on this campus. But we soon learned that there was significant multi-state competition in our region for EDA grant funding under this program, which eventually forced us to offer to purchase only the north building. This required renegotiating with the seller, which was successful. The total cost of purchasing the building and retrofitting for this application at that time was estimated to be $2.1 million. In January of 2021, Aransas County received a $1.7 million grant, which was coupled with $438,000 of local, mostly private, 20% match funds, which we raised in just 2 or 3 weeks. So this project was and is a true public-private partnership with Aransas County as the owner of the land and the improvements. with Del Mar College to be the operating partner to provide curriculum and training to future high school students, college students, senior citizens, or those needing workforce skills and training and certification for higher paying jobs in this area. Now to bring you up to date. It should be no surprise to anyone here, the estimated cost of construction material and labor in August of 2020 was significantly lower than today's cost estimates. And so that creates a need for raising additional funds and or a scaled down version of our earlier expectations and plans. We have a preliminary plan to raise these funds, but as of yet have only one pending application for funds on file, with several other prospects identified if we fall short and need additional funding. But in the meantime, we have finalized the construction plans and engineering specifications, and then we're going to need to find a general contractor. Del Mar College is planning to start classes this summer in a temporary location which has already been identified. You should be hearing more details about that in the very near future. In the meantime, a large task force group has been meeting bi-weekly for months. And from that committee, we also have two other key players to share additional information tonight. And if you have questions, we can take them afterwards. First, we have John Strothman from Aransas County, followed by Lenora Keys from Del Mar College.
Good evening, folks. Good evening, folks. I'm John Strothman, as everybody, some people know me. The county's heading up this project, and so I'm going to run through just some basic things that were going on here. I've been on this project now for about 6 months since Kim Faust left. Aransas County made application for the EDA grant on August of 2020. The grant was approved in February of 2021, and we have a 5-year date. We have an end date of February 9th, 2026. So it gives us time to pull this thing together financially. Grant amounts was $2,138,731, with the EDA contribution being $1.7 million, local match $438,731. The local match is broken up into two phases. One is cash, which is $332,183. The in-kind, which is services that we provide, is $106,548. Property was purchased in 2021 for $1,096,000. For the last 6 months, Aransas County team has been working with Del Mar team, with GrantWorks, who's our grant administrator, John Jackson, architect, our MEP engineer, to develop plan specifications, a budget for this project. The plan specifications became available last Wednesday, 6/22. At this point, we have not been able to really review the plans and start the process of getting ready for bid. There are 5 in-kind donors, and I want to mention those people. Del Mar College is a large in-kind donor. Turner Ramirez Architect. He provided us with the architectural drawings, specifications, and budget. City of Rockport, they're going to provide sewer taps, water taps, things like that. Aransas County ISD, they're in there doing in-kind work right now. We're pulling all the old low voltage and lots of stuff in the old building that we're not going to use in the new facility out of the building, and demoing things out of the building and putting it in the dumpster outside. In Aransas County, we will be doing parking lot repair. We have water service that we have to bring in from the taps, and we're going to be doing some interior work as well. Work lists have been developed. What I've been doing over the last few months is, as we go through these projects, is creating work lists for the in-kind donors, so people have a list of things that they can do. And also, as we're generating income, trying to generate donations, I'm creating a list of products and things in the building that could be purchased, and we can get cash donations to make these purchases. Ways of finding ways to cut this cost down. EDC, John Jackson Del Mar, have been working additional funding sources, which we need to go out and get. This way, the GrantWorks has submitted the plans now, so this is the process. The EDA has to review the plans, specifications, budget, approve it, and then before we can go any further with that. So that has been submitted. Once the EDA is approved, then we're going to come back to the city for building permits. We're going to get an RFP proposed for a general contractor. Bid processing takes 2 to 3 months, and then construction will be 8 to 10 months. The plan is to have this facility open and operating within sometime mid-2023. So that's a quick rundown. Has anybody got any questions? Nope. Okay, thank you.
Hello. Many of y'all I know from previous meetings. I'm Lenora Keys. I'm Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at Del Mar College. I'd like to introduce the two people that are with me tonight from Del Mar College, because you probably met them before, but you will be seeing them again in the future. Dr. Leonard Rivera. Leonard is the Dean of Continuing Education and Off-Campus Programs, and Kwana Denson. Kwana is the Director of Strategic Initiatives. And both individuals you'll be seeing over the next year or two quite a bit. But I'd like to share with you where we are with the programming and how we're going to move forward together as a community. Next one. This slide, I realize it's not real clear here on the vision, but the commissioners, as council people, you all have it. This summarizes basically what John Strothman and John Jackson have shared with you as to where we are with the grant, the amount of funding and the timing and how everything's come together over the last, really the last year and a half, 2 years. Oh, thank you. That's better. And so as you see this, what we're offering this today is that if you do receive questions from the community, then you're comfortable to share this information, and it summarizes where we are. Next slide. The programs or area of study comprise a variety of things that you've seen across the community. And these areas were identified through numerous meetings that started with Texas A&M Corpus Christi. We were very successful with our building trades and construction program that was here and right after Hurricane Harvey. Many of you know it as Rebuild Texas. Del Mar College actually received an award from the governor in recognition for what we all were able to do here in Rockport after Harvey with the construction program. We fully intend to continue with that program here and make it very successful. Your health sciences is another area that we're ready to stand up, as well as public safety and maritime. As you can see, there's a variety there with the computers and drafting and light industry. However, all of these programs feed the local economy and prepare people for high-paying jobs. Next slide. Our programs come from an in-demand list as directed and created by the Texas Workforce Commission and Workforce Solutions of the Coastal Bend. By focusing on these targeted occupations, those are the in-demand jobs within this local region. And those are the programs that we offer at Del Mar College. When your community leadership came over to the West Campus at Del Mar a couple years ago to see the quality of instrumentation and labs that we have, all of those feed into these types of programs. So as you go across, you'll see where we focus on business, healthcare, public safety, light industry, all those areas come up within these classifications as established by the Texas Workforce Commission. Next slide. This is the drawing of the first way the building looked when we first received it. And you'll see the color coding that indicates the different program areas by groupings of rooms. And that shows how we'll come together within this building and offer a variety of services and a variety of programs at different levels. These programs, many will be college credit courses and some will be continuing education. Next slide. This is where we are today. This is what Turner Ramirez was able to produce for us, was a professional set of architectural plans and specifications for every room. This is a true donation of time and professional services by Turner Ramirez and the consultants that worked with them. The faculty and program leadership at Del Mar College, along with your community, have been meeting regularly to determine what goes into each of these programs and what goes into each one of these rooms. And so it's very important as this comes together. Next slide. What we realize today is that we're faced with where we are in the economy, with increasing inflation and increasing cost. Where we were 2 years ago is very different from where we are today. So what we want to do is recognize that. We've come together We've reviewed the plans. We're coming up with ways to come up with alternatives so that we can deliver and produce what we need to do as far as programming within this facility, but still be able to reach our goal. And that is to have this highly functioning workforce development center, and we're very much ready to do that. The college has identified things that we will be donating. We have almost $300 million worth of construction going on right now in Corpus Christi. And with that, we've been able to identify items that we'll be able to contribute. We're also working with major donors across the area. And I think as a community and with your own leadership, we're going to be able to reach that goal. We plan on opening, we're hoping for the summer of 2023, basically a year from now, to be in that facility. What we're going to do right now in the short term is we are working with your local Baptist church, and we've identified classrooms that are available. And this summer, we will be offering some allied health courses there, hopefully some construction and maritime courses. As we move through the fall semester, we plan on bringing in more classes and more courses that the community wants. And so we're working together to make this happen. Next slide. And I'm ready to share with you where we are with our accreditation. Del Mar College is accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools and Commission on Colleges. This is the same regional accrediting body that accredits the University of Texas, Texas A&M, Baylor, any major university or college within the state, and actually within the 11-state region. So what we've already done is our administration has been busy, and we have applied for this accreditation for your site. So the physical facility here in Rockport would have accreditation. It would be an accredited site by Del Mar through the Southern Association. This is an important step for us as we move forward. We've been offering dual credit classes here in your community for almost 20 years. And that site is also on the accredited list. And just so you know, that the Aransas County Rockport Fulton High School. So this is not new to us. We're very pleased to be here, and we want to make this a big success. Next slide. And really just open for questions. Anybody have any comments or questions? I'll be glad to answer them.
Stayed with us during the long haul. Things have been rough for our community since 2017. We've had all sorts of issues go on, but y'all have stayed with the people in our community and showed your dedication, your help, that is going to be a real blessing and a godsend to young people that are trying to find jobs and stay in this community, raise their families and so forth. And y'all have been there with us for a long time, and I appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you. Anybody else? Thank y'all very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Again, there's no action required other than accepting the report, and we appreciate your time.
I move to accept the presentation on the Workforce Development Center.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Not the motions, we accept this report by the Workforce Development Center. Ward 1?
Aye.
Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4? Mayor, aye. What do we need to have to? Next item on the agenda, deliberate and act on first reading of ordinance amending Chapter 50, Division 4, Flood Hazard Reduction of the Code of Ordinances, City of Rockport, Texas, in order to be compliant with community rating system requirements, repealing all ordinances in the extent that they are in conflict, and providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a simple revision to meet the requirements requested by FEMA to be in compliance with the Class 8 freeboard. And they actually made the revisions and sent it to me, so I didn't have a lot of work to do with it, but it's pretty basic. Any questions?
So the freeboard now we're going up to 18 inches across the board.
Yes.
If they're in a flood zone.
Well, it depends on, technically, yes, but the VE zones and the coastal A's are a little different, but
Going from the 9 to the 8, that's the change in the VE and the coastal A's. Okay. If we are to adopt this or accept it, whatever our action is, I know we had some issues after Harvey and during all the reconstruction, our local builders and just trying to get everybody on the same page. So this will be different than the 12 inches.
No, I'm sorry. That doesn't change. The only thing we had to modify was the height requirements of the mechanical equipment that sits outside the home.
Okay,
Apparently, we weren't specific enough for their
Okay.
liking.
oh, so we're not going to the whole 18 inches on
No,
everything?
no,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
gotcha. I'm tracking now. Thank you. Well, that makes it a whole lot easier then.
Don't panic. Yeah,
Okay.
don't panic.
Well, I misread it then when I was reading through the thing too, so. Good. Okay, then no, I'm finished with my question.
Okay. Okay.
If there are no other questions, motion we were looking for would be to pass on first reading amendment, Chapter 50, Division 4, Flood Hazard Reduction in the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rockport. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the changes that is read on agenda item number 14.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion or debate? If not, the motion is that we accept and pass on first reading this amendment to ordinance number 50, Division 4. Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Mayor, aye. Item number 16, hearing to deliberate on a proposal to revise or amend Rockport Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, Article 6, golf carts, neighborhood electric vehicles. Chief.
Just to really brief you on what we're looking at to bring to you in a revised and updated ordinance on the next council meeting. There's two big issues that we're looking at right now. Right now, we allow golf carts and neighborhood electric vehicles. We don't see very many of those. We see a lot of golf carts around town. State law addresses those, and then for many years on the books, Rockport has adopted an ordinance that expands what state law already allows. Basically, you can operate a golf cart in the state of Texas within 2 miles of a golf course or in a master plan development. Rockport, by ordinance, allows operation of golf carts throughout the city, basically, on any road that has a maximum speed limit of 35 miles per hour. We require them to be permitted so that we can inspect them. The police department inspects them, make sure they got headlights, taillights, everything that is required under state law. It was probably, when it was first adopted, it wasn't a real burdensome issue. It has become that with population growth and with out-of-town people coming in, with second homes, things like that, to the point that we've really had to kind of restrict it to a couple days a week and then on Saturdays. And now to the point that we've got civilians trying to accomplish the inspections, and it's sort of eating our lunch. So much so that with 4th of July coming up, manpower issues, I've got an officer out on long-term sick leave. I've got 2 officers that are rookies riding and training, and I've got a vacancy. So Saturday's golf carts inspections, we had to cancel. We said, listen, I can't keep up with that for Saturday. And that is a strain on the public because they want their people want to comply with the ordinance, right? So what I'm proposing is to outsource that process, much like your car, when you get it inspected, you take it to any automotive dealer that's certified by the state to do the inspection, and then they collect that fee, they do the inspection, and then you go get it registered. So I want to do the same thing here, and really, rather than picking someone to do it, just any place that does golf carts that can do that, and we would be the ones that license the golf cart establishment to do the inspections. And I'd like to do a fee sharing with them. We do $10 is the fee. We'll share that, I think, 50-50, because we do still want to recoup some of the fee for the stickers that we purchase, right? That's our idea for that aspect. The second aspect that we have is off-highway vehicles, or the OHVs that you see, the side-by-sides. They're very common throughout the state. The state law is almost exactly the same as for golf carts, That says within 2 miles of a golf course or in a master planned community. But Rockport does not have an ordinance because these are relatively new on the landscape, right? But we do see a lot of our citizens now driving those around because, again, it's very much like golf carts and it's sort of the latest, greatest thing. I don't have an issue with it. They're as safe, I think, as golf carts. They've got the headlights, they've got everything on there. However, those citizens are outside of state law because they are more than 2 miles from a golf course. And so we're kind of faced with, we reach that point where we have to, as a city, as you elected officials, it's my opinion, my professional opinion, we've got to do something. We have to have an ordinance that either allows it or that prohibits it. And in the state statute, that's what it says, is that a city's governing body can either prohibit the operation of the OHVs or can allow the operation. It's my recommendation that we allow them. Again, many citizens have them. They're not causing a danger, but it is something that we want to, just like golf carts, have an inspection process for, do the permits so that we can kind of keep track of them. But again, because people, by and large, want to comply. 82 to 86% of people drive the speed limit, believe it or not. The other ones drive well over or well under, right? So most Americans do want to comply with the law. Right now, I don't think many people realize that they are outside of the law, and I think it's incumbent upon us to make a decision one way or the other. So the ordinance that the city manager has sent off to legal, and you have a copy of what that rough draft is. It's likely to come back with some changes, I would suppose, addresses those two big issues. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Chief, I've got a couple questions for you. Just ballpark, how many permits do you think you're issuing annually, kind of currently?
Try to get that count before we came up. We don't have a great tracking system. I'm going to tell you, we typically do several dozen in a month. Summer's obviously busy, or is busier for us. I'm going to venture to say 200-300 of them easily in a year. But I can get you an accurate count. We started counting, but it was clear we weren't going to get the count done before the council meeting came up. But I can get you that accurate count. But it's a lot.
It's fair. It's a bigger than a bread box, smaller than a bread box kind of question,
It is.
So.
I'll tell you one of the other big issues for us, since it's on that line of question, is we take cash into the police department for those, and there's not a great control over that because since we do them, since the person that by policy has identified to accept the cash, she may not be there that day. Well, for instance, she's gone today and it's a Tuesday, and we do golf cart inspection on a Tuesday. Saturdays, she's not there, and so she comes into work and there's just cash on her desk with inspection permits, and so it's working. I don't have any suspicions about it, but I just think it's a bad practice. And so we bought one of the little suggestion drop boxes right now for people to put it in. I would like to get that out of the police department. I'm not a fan. I like to guard cash. I don't like to accept cash and hold cash. And so it'd be better if those outside vendors, if you will, accepted it, and then they wrote a check for the half of it to the finance department, got their stickers, and that would get us out of the cash handling business, which I'm never a fan of.
So I've always been curious, doing my state inspection, what the benefit is for those operators to get an $8 inspection that they're not making $8. So have you talked to any of the benefit for them is they're going to tell you, oh, your tires are bad. And oh, by the way, I just happen to have one to replace right now. So, I understand that. So I'm guessing the golf cart vendors are the ones that are interested, or are there
Correct.
others?
There's two right now that have approached us and talked about it. And again, we would put some checks and balances into place to make sure that they do it ethically. But yeah, their gain from it is if someone doesn't know and well, what do I need? And they don't make any real money off of the inspections, but if someone wants to make a typical golf cart street legal, if you will, well, they sell the products to do that. And what we would expect of them is to say, hey, you get this done wherever you would like to. We can do it for you if you'd like, but go get it done, do it yourself, bring it back, and we'll inspect it. Obviously, if it was me, I'd say, yeah, what does that cost? Okay, do it, and throw that inspection sticker on there when you're done.
Right. No, there's no doubt there's benefit there. And so just last, and I'm sorry to dominate here, like in general, what are you seeing on compliance and as an enforcement?
Really, the permit stuff, we don't see a lot of violations. The two big things that we see are kids driving the golf carts. We try to address that as much as we can. And we also see people driving them during the darkness hours. And And there's, every now and then there's a question about, well, hey, why don't we allow people to, to drive them at night? And it's a strange thing under the state law. It requires headlamps, but you can only operate them during the daytime. But and the law does not allow us to open that up. It specifically says the things that you can do with your city ordinance, which is basically to expand it past 2 miles from the golf course or the master plan developments, Key Allegro or Harbor Oaks or something like that. So we can expand that, and that's really about it. We can't let them on roadways with a higher speed limit. 35 miles per hour is it, and it says nothing about allowing them in the hours of darkness. In fact, it says during the daytime, and under the transportation code, daytime is defined half hour before sunrise, half hour after sunset. So maybe that's why they said they need headlights. However, you're only required to use the headlights on your car after daylight, which, you don't know this, you don't have to turn your headlights on until half hour after sunset. But whatever. So it's an odd law, but that's our 2 big violations.
No, Chief, I appreciate that. I mean, you definitely make a valid argument to get out of it, but you're almost talking yourself back into it because you're getting that contact with that resident and providing an opportunity to have a positive relationship. But anyways, we'll save that for later. But I understand why the outsourcing would make sense. Thank you.
Statement. This is a citizen wanted to talk on this particular item, and he has written in here what he wanted to say, and I wanted you to hear this. Said, I will be opening a bike and golf car and scooter business as part of the Blue Zone Resort developments on South Church Street, Loop 70. A couple of items I'd like to discuss. Number one, the current ordinance that requires the carts to be off the roads by dusk. Establishing a local charging station near downtown and near Fulton. According to Captain Garcia with the Rockport Police Department, he is not aware of significant golf cart accidents. According to my conversation with city employee at Fulton, they do not enforce after dark driving. Cities of Port Aransas, Galveston, and Bolivar allow after dark driving. Thank you.
Chief, you're not done yet. I'm gonna play the snotty neighbor down the road here for a minute. Not like I would ever do that to anybody in this room, but I'm almost seeing this like a something to keep honest people more honest. In that I see quite a few golf carts that aren't inspected. I see quite a few golf carts in places they shouldn't be. I see quite a few golf carts. I mean, you only have so many people on the road. And I completely understand that, okay? But, so now we're going to add 3 other types of vehicles in that we're not paying attention to either. Well, you said 3.
The golf carts and the electric vehicles, they're already in there.
Yeah, I know. What you're proposing.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What you're proposing. So then we've got all of these other things that we're going to let be on our streets and cross over places and do this and do that. I mean, why?
Well, the only thing that's added is the OHV.
Right.
The other 2 are already in there. And I can tell you that while I'll say that we need to do a better job of policing the golf carts, and that's something that we constantly talk about with the officers. One of the biggest issues, and you kind of pointed out, is that we get tied up on a lot of administrative things, one of which are the golf cart inspections. We are also, we talked previously about a new alarm ordinance, but actually we're changing up how we're managing the ordinance we have. And I say just those a couple things that we're trying to streamline some things to make sure we've got enough time to patrol for these quality of life issues like that. And so the more time that we've got to actually be out and do proactive work to address issues like that. And this is just one small thing that if I can get this off our plate, and outsource that, it gives the officers more time to go out and actually enforce. It's almost like a catch-22. We spend so much time when dispatch calls and says, hey, I have 3 golf cart inspections, and returns an officer to the PD, when actually I'd rather outsource that so that officer can go out and enforce and make sure that the golf carts are permitted and are not on roads with the high speed limits and things like that. Free up our time.
I'm completely with you. I just kind of wanted you to say it in another way.
I got you. I'm trying.
Okay, and I am all about getting these inspections off of your hands and out into people that deal with dark golf carts every day. Have them do it. Makes sense to me. I'm good.
It sounds as if somebody's saying like that. We're not asking for any kind of an action on this one either. Just an information.
It's a new ordinance to you, and we just wanted to give you a chance to see it in advance.
We appreciate it. Thank you,
Mayor
Chief.
Mike's
And if we get this ordinance back, and if it passes, if the council so desires to pass it, we would do a large PR campaign to make sure that people do realize, hey, these do have to be permitted, especially the OHVs will be new, and then we would do some grace period with that, with warnings, but then we would move into citations for people that are operating where they're not permitted.
Oh, the state apparently is putting license plates on some of those vehicles. There are some that have small license plates on them that are put on by the state. And I don't know what their requirements are and what they've got to meet, but there are several of those running around town that are Polarises. But anyway.
I'm familiar with that. But as Chief pointed out, there are a lot of people that come in from out of town and drag their equipment with them. I leave here and drag our equipment with us when we go places. And as you were saying, it's a good PR thing, because if we'll go someplace, usually in the RV park or the town that we're going to, they'll say, hey, give you a heads up, you need to go get this sticker or this permit or, weekend pass, whatever it may be. Again, it's probably gonna be selective enforcement for a while, till we get the compliance and everything.
And to that point, that's exactly right, is that people coming in right now for 4th of July, I just don't have the manpower to do those inspections, where it's going to be much more convenient for the citizen to be able to go to one of the two, and if this other individual mayor does open a shop, they can go one of 3 places and get that done and not have to wait on a patrol officer to come back to the PD to do that and take that officer off the road. So it's more efficient for us. It's much more convenient for the citizen to be able to go get that done out in the city somewhere.
Not everybody's showing up in October to come get the inspections done. No, it's July 3rd. So, yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks, Chief.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, reports from council. Ward 1, any report today?
I got nothing today.
Ward 2.
I just want to met with Lee and her communications advisory board. I thank you for the invitation to join your group and provide some insight. This is related to the alternate dispatch facility agenda item that we've postponed it into July. So really positive progress there, and I look forward to Lee's report when she brings that back. But thank you for allowing me to attend that. Also been working with the Spanish Woods Estates Homeowners Association this week related to a rezoning request. That was a previous agenda item that was postponed for the public hearing, kind of working through kind of what the legalities are for the estates with their deed restrictions and their covenants for that rezoning. But it's been great conversation with them. It's always good sometimes to get everybody together to kind of refocus on what the needs are and what the future might look like for a subdivision that's well mature now, and might want to look at refreshing some of that the way that they do business. But other than that, it's been a good week or 2 weeks. That's all I got, Mayor.
Thank you. Ward 3. Fred.
Memorial Park has hosted the Little League All-Stars for a couple of our age groups, and we'd just like to thank the Parks Department and their guys and gals for keeping the park maintained, looking beautiful, as beautiful as we can during the drought. And we got a little bit of rain today, so it's going great. I've heard a lot of positive comments from people that are coming in for this tournament. George West, Ben Cat, we got some people from the outlying areas. It's not just our local range pass single side groups. So everybody's really enjoying the park, how beautiful it is and everything. So I just want to thank the Parks Department for keeping that up. Good job. That's all I have.
Ward 4, we're just still continuing to work on our drainage project that we were working on. We got the design. It's going to go out for bid in July. And then we are hoping to have it in front of council in early of August. So that is our hope right now. And we're excited to keep moving forward and getting it done. Also, I just want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July, and please keep safe. It's going to be busy in town. Lots and lots of people. So just be safe, be vigilant, and respect thy neighbors, because it's going to be a really busy weekend. So that's about it.
Thank the folks out in the country club are staying busy, and they're curious about what goes on at City Hall, because I'm supposed to go visit with them, speak with them on the 9th of August in their next homeowners association meeting, and look forward to that. Other than that, it has been a busy week or so, and we learned a whole lot about Robert's Rules of Order the other day. I have been trying to digest all that, and I get confused by some of it sometime. But I appreciate those of you that are here in the audience. Thank you for coming. And we are now going to go into executive session. The City Council will hold an executive session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code in accordance with the authority contained in Section 551.074, personnel matters, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, city manager. Section 551.071, consultation with attorney seeking the advice of attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or a settlement offer on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the chapter Burnside Services Incorporated, and number 2, Concho Street Drainage Project. And Section 551.072, deliberations about real property, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, the natural gas system. We are in executive session. It is 7:39.
It's for Kimberly, so she
Really?
It's boring.
Rockport City Council is now back in open session. It is 9:13 PM. After meeting during executive session, we are recommending the hiring of Jessica Schroner. Vanessa Schroner, I'm sorry. I wrote Jessica, that's the reason I said that. Anyway, Vanessa Schroner as city manager, and I would entertain a motion from that point. Yes, effective 1st of August. They did tell me that. Right. Thank you.
I move that we appoint Vanessa Schroner as the next city manager with a start date of August 1st, 2022.
Is there any further discussion? We have a motion and a second that we appoint Vanessa Schroner as city manager effective August 1st. Is there any other discussion? Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4. Mayor, aye. Thank you very much. We appreciate your work and your hard work. Thanks to all the staff.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned.
That was. Y'all are so smart.